Real quick, I'm gonna be playing Companion Quest with Pointy Hat and Jenny D and Will from D&D Shorts in like a week. That's next Thursday around noon Pacific time. Hopefully we'll see you there. Okay, that's it. Here's the video. I have a theory that mind flayers shouldn't be these futuristic, evolved, floating psychic men with faces that could engorge the deep's peep while gorging on deep thoughts as they transform more and more people into mind flayers. They should be big worms instead. Weirdly powerful, very stupid, big worms. Let me take you down my little wormhole here so I can explain. Their interesting little life cycle starts in a big dumpster vat full of cultivated worms, like a wet compost pile tended to by tentacle men who tuck all the worms in and tell them bedtime stories every night. But when they grow big and strong by drinking their Ovaltine, a purple papa grabs a few and pops them up people's noses, ears, and eyes. The little earwig worm finds its way inside the wigwam of your mind and turns it into Swiss cheese. Then you undergo a nice little Ben 10 magical girl transformation that pops your bones and turns you into another drone for the Mind Flayer hive. I'm done with the alliteration, by the way, thank you for enduring that. The fun and silly thing about this transformation, called Ceremorphosis, is that it's not exclusive to hairless bipedals. It can happen to literally anything, from rats to bears to gnomes to quaggoths to dragons to other aliens like beholders. Honestly, probably anything if you're creative, as long as it thinks big thoughts and has an orifice that the worm can find its way into. That's why I mentioned Ben 10 earlier. I wish I had like an Illithid tricks. Also, if he turned into a mind flayer, would he be able to turn back? Because they don't have souls, like you die when you become one, so either it would kill him or his soul would go into the Omnitrix. But I didn't watch enough Ben 10 to power scale him, so I'm gonna move on. Now we know that they're worms, but if one of them manages to crawl out of the slime crib or gets abandoned by its purple daddy-o, they start to grow. Since they don't really get the mental augmentation from eating an active mind, they trade neural proteins for protein powder and get huge. Like really, really huge. Giant even. Gargantuan, one could argue. Colossal. Almost. They trade every ability a mind flayer would get for everything that could destroy a mind flayer. I mean it very literally. A fight between one of these giant worms and some mind flayers would be a nightmare for the floating men. It has advantage on overcoming all magical effects, its reach is crazy so it can grab them out of the air, or, alternatively, it can cast telekinesis to fling them from the sky into its own mouth. Also, it can levitate at will. That's kind of insane. I don't like that visual. It can cause localized confusion to steal turns away from its enemies, and it has my favorite ability that it could use once per day, Feeble Mind. It can literally remove the brain from a mind flayer, practically telling the worms inside the brain,
"This isn't you, bro. You're acting crazy."
And then it just gobbles the whole thing up. But most interesting of all, even though it is stupid, it knows the exact number, distance, direction, and intelligence of every noteworthy creature within a full mile of itself. That's crazy. So it can just dox the exact size and location of a mind flayer hive, or perform a town census in like 1 second every single second. But it would also start to massively reduce the populace because, you know, it's hungry. But this form is what any tadpole takes if it gets left alone, which I really feel like it's implied that they're meant to be big worms. Like this was their ancient form before society gave them hands and thoughts. There's this theory that mind flayers came from the future after their societal destruction, but I imagine since they're aberrations, in the distant past there were just pools of floating worms and tadpoles eating one another for countless decades. Wait, what the fuck? I know what this looks like. This was the primordial past of mind flayers in the far realm. Okay, I have a bone to pick with their name. Mind flayers are called Illithids, but these fucking stupid ass things are called Neothelids, not Neolithids. Whoever named them gets a big red slap on the butt cheek for this. I refuse it, and I will be calling them Neolithids from now on. I even had to change the script and re-record because of this. I had a dumb joke and I'm gonna leave it in anyway. So let's pretend Neolithids, which is like new lithids. Which is funny to me because that implies that illithids are like internet lithids because they're interconnected, like Wi-Fi lipids. But mind flayers are so scared of this that killing big tadpoles is a higher priority than surviving as a hive. These big worms coming into being is as regulated as Tai Lung's prison. The conditions have to be perfect for one to emerge. Usually, this condition is an adventuring party killing all mind flayers and also the Elder Brain, which is what happens in Baldur's Gate 3. So I think there might be a little how should I say this? Worms Armageddon in Baldur's Gate pretty soon. So if you were a local who survived that whole event, you should be saying, Armageddon out of here. I think I made my point already, and that kind of ruined it, so I'm just going to cut the whole video here.